Good afternoon, everybody. We still have some folks trickling in here. So we're just going to give it probably another 90 seconds, 2 minutes, just to let some folks trickle in. But wow, a lot of folks joining today. Looking forward to talking about data and how to use that to our advantage. We'll get started here in just a minute. All right, guys. Looks like we're slowing down on some people joining. I'll just give it just another 20, 30 seconds or so. Thanks, everybody, for taking the time to join us today. Looking forward to going through this. All right. All right. Everybody, welcome to an AdCellerant webinar using data to outsmart your competition. Looking forward to digging in here today. As usual, we really want this to be a back and forth. So if you have any questions along the way, please don't hesitate to ask. We'll try to get to all of your questions. We most certainly don't want to keep you here the whole hour either. So we'll try to get through this within 30, 35 minutes or so. And then, we'll leave some room for Q&A and then hopefully get you out of here a little bit early. We know that most of you are very busy folks and you're probably sitting there at your desk or on your lunch hour. And we want to make this completely worth your time and also quick and painless. So hopefully you get something out of this today. So as we go to our agenda here, we're going to just quickly talk about who we are, why you should care about listening to us. Are we experts in our field, and should that matter? Industry trends, research tools and technology, target audience and reporting, and really this all just comes back to using data to outsmart your competition. And this is going to be from a lens today of our AdCellerant Select team, and we'll get into who Select is and why they're important to our partner relationships in just a minute. But before that, you should probably know who we are. So my name is Adam Lee. I'm the Chief Business Development Officer here at AdCellerant. I've been with the company for almost 7 years now. Time flies, absolutely crazy, but I have the best job in the world because I get to go out and tell the story on who AdCellerant is. And it's just such an amazing story that resonates. And our mission of bringing Madison Avenue level advertising to Main Street marketers is something we live by every day. And it's just a lot of fun to tell that story. So with that, I will hand it to Adrian Abeda to introduce himself.
Hey everyone, Adrian Abeda, Senior Director of Strategic Accounts. I work solely on our Select business. I've been with the company since 2019. I get the joy of working with Ryan on a day-to-day basis on the sales side. I also oversee our client services efforts for Select. I'm looking forward to our chat today. And that being said, I'm going to kick it to our next presenter, Ryan.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Adam. We are beyond excited to be talking with everyone today. We see that there is an incredible amount of attendees and a lot of familiar faces. So thank you for everyone joining. If you haven't heard from me before, my name is Ryan Calzavara. I am our Select Sales Manager, which basically encompasses sales support for your larger size clients. I handle deck creation and making sure that we're speaking to our partners about the capabilities of landing these larger size opportunities. So thank you for joining today, and we're excited to kick things off. So with that, if you haven't heard or if you're looking for a little bit more intel on who AdCellerant is, We are a company made up of over 200 individuals. We do have a full in-house operations team, a full in-house software team that helps build that incredible technology that you guys have possibly seen before. We do have an award-winning sales team. And for the most part, we do partner with a ton of publications, broadcast groups, agencies across the country to help deliver our incredible platform to our everyday advertisers. We have over 10 years of experience. As I mentioned, 200 plus employees. We do focus on not only the customer journey, but of course, conversion-based tactics. We find that a lot of the clients we speak to, they don't have full funnel conversion-based focuses, and that's a lot of where Select focuses our time on. Really with that, we could kind of kick off what makes us so special in a lot of ways. So we do want everyone to know that at AdCellerant, we have a special group of individuals. Our team on the Select side is made up of about 12 people. And that team focuses specifically on your larger size clients. And one of the big benefits of being on the Select team is that you do have this all-in-one solution focus that encompasses a lot of products that are available to these higher spenders. This includes things like TikTok, Snapchat, X. We rarely come across a ton of competitors that are offering that full funnel or full suite of social product offerings. We also offer and are at the state-of-the-art products such as like Performance Max and other platforms within Google that we see a lot of success with. And then a full funnel OTT solution from YouTube TV to Hulu to really most OTT offerings, as well as a full SEO team. So as you can see, most clients, they do typically want to find one team that they feel comfortable with that could handle a lot of these different product offerings, and we are typically that solution for them.
So what makes AdCellerant Select unique? It starts with strategic digital media planning. Using the tools and technology that we're going to talk about today, we put a huge emphasis on creating a plan that maximizes the value paid digital has on real business outcomes. We want to ensure we're hitting the right people at the right time using channels, audiences, creative messaging that will maximize the KPIs that we work with our advertisers to establish. Dedicated client services support. We let our sellers do what they do best, sell, and we let our client services team take our accounts to the next level. Each account that we work with has a client services team member that is your dedicated day-to-day support and lead for all ongoing strategy and optimization needs. These folks are experts in managing multi-channel strategies, analyzing the data, and then really collaborating with our partners to provide a level of customer service that is unmatched.
Yeah.
Also strategic. Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, we have a motto that is slow down to speed up here at AdCellerant. And a big part of that is making sure that we are covering the basis for each one of our clients. So you may be sitting on the other side of this webinar, and you may have a couple of huge clients that you've been wanting to try to tackle, but you don't know if you have the bandwidth to help with that, or you don't necessarily know how to even approach those size clients. So we want throughout this process to, of course, talk about the data, but also instill that confidence with everyone here that we do handle clients that spend rather large sums of their marketing dollars with us per month. And at Select, you could feel comfortable knowing that you have a team that just typically does handle these size clients.
Yeah, and working alongside our client services team is our strategic campaign management team. Our team of campaign managers are fully dedicated to working on select size accounts. They're our top campaign managers at AdCellerant. We don't have one campaign manager running across all platforms. Instead, we have campaign managers that optimize and execute on the platforms they specialize in. You get a team of campaign managers that work in tandem with one another and our client services teams to analyze and optimize campaigns on a daily basis. Custom reporting and analysis. Each account we work with has unique needs in regards to the metrics and segmentation of data that is important to them. Our custom dashboard really enables us to create reports that best illustrate the performance in the way that our clients see fit. Whether it's marketing breakdowns, platform breakdowns, or any type of breakdown of importance, we want to ensure that we're focusing on the data that is most important to the businesses that we work with. And then ongoing optimizations and strategy recommendations. What our dashboard is not is a replacement for human interaction and collaboration. Our client services team engages regularly with the campaign management team to optimize and strategize. We're not waiting for a monthly report or a renewal to determine how we can achieve better results. We work with the data and each other daily to make that happen. Google Analytics, Insights, and Analysis. Our platform data is hugely important for making strategic decisions and optimizations, but we know the impact our campaigns have extend beyond the platforms that we use to buy media. Measuring performance and lift in Google Analytics is part of the equation, and it's why we incorporate GA4 Insights and Analysis into the measurement of our digital campaigns and the impact it has to the overall performance of the site and business. The tools and technology that we utilize are extremely important to what we do, but so is the team that supports those efforts. It's what really makes us special. And with that being said, I'm going to kick it to Adam to talk about industry trends.
Cool. Well, thanks, Adrian and Ryan, and enough about us. We're gonna focus on you guys now. Really why you're here. Select has been a game-changing team for us and our partners in helping them, close and retain very large business and essentially create that moat around their most important clients. And when you have conversations with advertisers that are that large, you really need to use as much data as humanly possible to tell your story and to put your advertiser in the best position possible to succeed. Because with budgets and come expectations, and with those expectations, you need to be able to prove out performance. So we're going to look at a few different things here. So first and foremost, industry trends. It's just really important to understand what's happening within your specific industry, looking at your competitive set. Is somebody growing? Has there been an acquisition? What is happening within my competitive set? From a market perspective, keeping a pulse on understanding what's happening, from a larger macroeconomic perspective is also really important. Is inflation playing a key role here? Not sure if you remember a few years ago, there was this small health situation that happened globally called COVID-19 that certainly shook things up. And coming out of that, things have looked different for different industries and different markets. And it's just really important to know what's happening within our current ecosystem. And then we get into tools. What tools can we really utilize to tell us what's going on? And then how can we use that data to our advantage to help outsmart that competition and really give us a leg up on performance is something that we're going to focus on over the coming slides. So as we transition into the next few slides here, really just wanted to give a couple of brief snapshots or microcosms of what we're seeing in the market today. One of the interesting things that we're seeing, especially from a younger generation, is that while Google is still that 800-pound gorilla in the room, people's search habits are starting to change. And so with that younger generation, especially, instead of going to Google, they'll actually go to social media channels to do their search and their research. They will use, in some instances, scary instances, they will take advice from TikTok influencers over their doctors. That's probably a whole other webinar in itself. But point of this being that people will go to social media channels, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, all things Meta, to TikTok or Reddit to do their research. And that's something that continues to tick up over time, that you can't just rely on a paid search strategy for your engagement, education, and conversion. You really need to pair that with a strong social strategy as well. As we look to the next slide here, and it sounds crazy, but the holidays are just around the corner, and people's shopping habits are starting earlier and earlier, in large part thanks to Amazon. They started, their first Prime Days in October, and so that early kind of shopping window is now happening earlier than ever, and the industry is calling it the holiday hammock. So you can kind of see this tentpole event that happens in October. Sales continue to pick up through, Cyber Week, and then they start to trickle off as you head into the final, days of the holidays. And so if you're not ready with a strategy for the holidays today, or thinking about that or talking about that today, you're already behind the eight ball, because you better be ready in October with, your media mix, your creative messaging, your call to actions, where you're sending that traffic, how you're going to take advantage of that. So it's just really important to know that people's shopping habits continue to shift earlier thanks to that small company called Amazon. And then media mix, one thing that's really important is video and CTV. So, one thing that's kicking off this week is the Olympics. I had a graph that I was looking at last night that showed that the Olympics are the biggest TV event that happens in the world. Pair that with a political season that's upcoming that will be dominated by political ads, and it's leaving a lot of advertisers wondering, where should I spend my dollars that I usually allocate towards linear TV? And so, we don't advise moving all those budgets away from linear TV. That's not the point of this slide. What our research is telling us is it can be a really effective media mix when you are combining the two, when you are able to use that video in a lot of different ways, and CTV should certainly be at the top of that list. So you can see here where some folks are reallocating their dollars from, in order to start to invest in CTV. And that awareness is going to be crucial when we're talking about select level campaigns. Yes, that mid funnel, low funnel conversion is really important, but it's almost equally important that people know who you are, what you're bringing to the table, what your business does, and CTV and video is a great way to do that. So just a couple industry trends to chew on. We look at this stuff every single day, literally hundreds of different data points that we're able to access. But as you as our partner and your end advertiser, have opportunities in front of you. This is some of the data that we want to take into consideration as we are building out custom media strategies to help present and close and retain that business through the end of the year. So let's start to get into what that tools and tech looks like.
Yeah, and really quickly, I do want to speak just while we're on the CTV slide. The fact that at AdCellerant, and specifically the Select team, we do encompass a rather powerful OTT product or CTV product. And again, it could be sourced from geofencing, it could be sourced from behavioral targeting. Our reporting dashboard is very robust. So I do a lot of the selling on the Select side, and we come across a ton of our competitors, proposals. We come across things from Hulu, Disney, all these other teams. And typically, when you show side by side our OTT offerings versus what other teams are offering, we actually win that battle quite a bit. So if you are interested in learning more of how we speak to our products, or what those fine details are within those products, we're happy to speak to you at any time.
Great call out, Ryan. All right, cool. So tools and tech, we invest a lot on your behalf. If we're going to expect you to invest with us, you should expect us to invest for you. So as we look at, no, you were on the perfect slide there. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. So as we look at what makes, AdCellerant Select unique, let's focus on the tools here. So we want to look at first your competition, what's happening from a target audience perspective, who should we be targeting, market segmentation strategies, which geographies should we be in, an investment analysis, how much should we spend to get the return we're looking for. That all needs to tie together with a perfect media mix and a perfect media plan. And then once something's in market, we need to report on it. So as we look at the tools that we invest in, there's quite a few of them. First, it all starts with UI.marketing. UI.marketing is AdCellerant's proprietary tech stack, and it helps with everything from proposal creation to an order management system to reporting. AdCellerant Academy, so you understand, what it is that we're even talking about or offering, and that end-to-end solution is really powerful. And then on the Select side specifically, we start to augment that with a couple of key tools that I want to call out here. So the first two that I'll call out are Kantar and Pathmatics. So Kantar and Pathmatics are our competitive analysis tools. So those are going to allow us to see what our competition is doing in market. Are they spending on traditional media, on digital media? Which creatives are they using? Does that change by market? It starts to give us an idea of what we're up against, with our biggest competitors in market. The next step there is Claritas and Prism Premier. Some of you may be familiar with Claritas and or Mosaic. We prefer Claritas here at AdCellerant because it does allow you to get down to that zip code level. But what Claritas does is it allows you to look at every single household in the United States, and they classify that into 68 segments, which we'll jump into here in just a couple slides. And it starts to allow us to really drill down who our target audience should be and what they're comprised of, meaning are there kids in the household? What do their ages look like? What type of cars do they drive? Restaurants that they go to? Just a zillion different data points that we can use to our advantage when helping identify a target audience. And then finally, MRI Simmons, we then are able to pull crosstabs against those target audiences and look at their media consumption habits. And so is this, does our target audience over index on Instagram versus Facebook, versus, Disney Plus versus Hulu? And then how can we use that to our advantage when we're creating a robust data-driven media plan so we know that our campaigns are as efficient as possible in reaching our target audiences in the most streamlined way that we possibly can.
Thank you, Adam. So we do want to review some examples of what we're actually talking about here, which will be in the coming slides. But one of the most requested part of our meeting analytics team is the competition or the competitive analysis. So I just want to talk through how that situation works. So typically, a client at these select levels will tell us they really want to understand what the competition is spending, where are they putting their dollars, what is their trend of spend, different items like that. So we utilize the tools that Adam just mentioned on the previous slide in order to collect some of that data. And then we on the select side like to joke that for us, the F word is fulfillment, right? We don't want to just fulfill on a campaign. We want to ideate, we want to create, we want to be consultants in the digital space. So a big part of that is understanding what the competition is doing so that we could then learn from it and grow upon some of their strategies as well. So part of that process includes just a client actually just telling us who their competitors are and who they want us to look into. As you can see here, we pulled some examples of what you could actually expect within a competitor analysis. So as you could see here, we have 4 clients, and we're able to tell a client whether they are spending a lot in the space or whether they're spending maybe not so much. These tools are used to be directional. So typically we don't put specific budgets, but we put percentages, just because you can never really fully understand if you see an impression displayed on Google Display Network, for example, you don't know what this retail CPM that client was charging. So these tools are meant to be directive. But at the end of the day, we've worked with tons of CMOs in the financial space, the legal space, healthcare space, what have you, who they all want to see what other teams are doing, right? So we're talking credit unions that are the top 15 in the country that absolutely eat this data up, and they request it several times per year. So part of the competitive analysis, as mentioned, is the understanding of what products they're allocating their budgets to. So you can see this is just a snapshot that showcases that this specific industry and their competition is putting a ton of dollars into TV, a little light on search, radio, outdoor. As you can see, these products aren't, these analysis aren't meant to just be digital. It could also have linear products included. But we would take a snapshot of this specific analysis and then be able to showcase to our clients, hey, they're really heavy in video. Perhaps is there other angles that we could take that we need to be more aggressive on? Or, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, they're really heavy on video. We've been asking you for a video asset for months. Clearly it's working for them. Can we possibly look at that? creating a video. So part of it also is going to be the trend of spend. This is actually where I think a lot of CMOs, CEOs that we work with spend most of their time, because it does help us understand how much they're investing for maybe a new product that they just launched, or it helps us understand the seasonality and how they view when they should be stepping on the gas for ad spend or when they should be pulling off. So again, we wanted to show you real examples, but this is something that you unlock at the select levels for each one of your clients.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. And that's just that data is just the tip of the iceberg, right? We want to be as informed as possible, and be as data driven as we can in creating that media mix. And our target audience is really going to be crucial to that. So after we take a look at what our competition is doing, we start to dig much deeper within Claritas and better understand who our target audience is and how they're grouped. So if you're not familiar, Claritas, they classify every single US household into one of 68 segments. Those 68 segments do tend to have funny names. So the first segment is going to be upper crust. So that's number one. That's going to be the most affluent group in the United States. And then the unfortunately named Bedrock America is number 68. But we certainly want to look through those goofy names to really get into the juice as to why this type of data is important. And so Claritas and Prism Premier, they are able to organize the households within the United States into 11 life stage groups and 14 social groups. So life stage groups is what you're seeing here. So are they younger years, family life, or mature years? And then you can start to see how those are grouped and then how they start to move down from an income perspective. Now, social groups, we don't have a slide on that, but I'll just speak to it real quick. It can be a little misleading, but they break those, that name can be misleading, but they break those into more of a, geography based where people live. Meaning, is it a rural or urban setting? Is it a second city, which is a urban setting that's a little bit smaller, or is it the suburbs? And so, taking these two things in combination really start to allow us to dig into who that target audience should be, and then a number of different factors and data points that we can then glean from our target audience, which is their income, their education, their occupation, home value, tech use, which restaurants they go to, which cars they drive. And so that starts to give us a really good idea of who our target audience is. And so based on, as we move to the next slide, that methodology, we are able to, take data from your business, from Google Analytics, from your campaigns, and really start to identify who that target audience is that we should start to be, utilizing within our campaign structures. We don't want to go after anybody and everybody. We don't want to be so broad that it leaves us, wasting money. We really want to get as granular as we can so your dollars get the highest return. We are getting a question here. I'll read it in real time. Are audience segments at DMA level or down to the zip code? Great question. These audience segments can go down to the zip code level if we are utilizing Claritas and Prism Premier within a select campaign. Great question. Finally here, what we're able to do is we're able to, pull crosstabs against this audience within MRI Simmons. So Ryan, I'll let you take over here and talk about how those media consumption habits can really come to life from a media mix perspective.
Yeah, so if you've seen me pitch before, we definitely love to use a lot of examples. So we do a lot of storytelling on the select side, and here will be another one. So we were working with a government entity who wanted to run a campaign to tell young adults to be safe when they were driving their two-wheeled motorized vehicles, right? Those scooters that everyone is zipping around in these days. Me personally, they scare the crap out of me, so I don't get on them, but I was very invested into this program because I wanted everyone to be safe when they're driving these vehicles. And in order to win this specific buy, we had to tell the government that, hey, these young adults, a lot of them are on Instagram, they're on Snapchat, they're on TikTok, but that wasn't enough, right? They wouldn't just take our word for it. They needed data to help support it for us to help for us to win the buy. So we then put together this analysis where we took some of the key behaviors that they were looking to get in front of. And then as you could see, we crawl each one of those specific segments to understand which platform indexes the most heavily, right? Like which platform people are spending most of their time and where are their eyeballs. And as you could see, for most of the audiences that we went in front of, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok were leaders of the charge. And once we presented this plan of attack to the government, we ended up winning that buy, which has renewed 3 times since last year. So for us, you could start to understand how these tools do help supply actual wins pre-sale. And then, of course, when we're running the campaign, to be able to pull these on a quarterly basis or half annual basis, what have you, it just it's a boost of confidence for our clients that we're not, again, just fulfilling, but we're utilizing data to help tell a story and to understand our markets better.
Yeah, and Ryan, just to chime in here, this data is always so powerful. It kind of turns the I think into I know as far as where I should be investing my advertising dollars, and it just really helps tell that story to the end advertiser and their executive team or decision makers when, why are we investing what we're investing? Why are we investing in the platforms we are? It's this type of data that make those conversations easy. It's also why this type of data make campaigns perform so well.
Yep.
So,
I also
so
want to add that this was just a social media evaluation. There are more full scope evaluations where you could do linear as well and other forms of video, for example. This is just an example of the social media, but to Adam's point and credit, we utilize these tools to help pin down exactly where and when we should be putting our dollars.
Yeah, and Ryan, we actually just got a question, so I'm going to tee you up here in a second before we get to Adrian and reporting and how this comes to life here. But the question is, what kind of categories are really benefiting from this kind of intel? That's the first question. I'll answer that, and then Ryan, if you have any thoughts, but it's almost any industry. So we utilize this for all sorts of different industries, everything from higher education to retail clients, to large scale health systems, to legal clients that are really focused on cost per acquisition, to home services, to auto sales. I mean, it really runs the gamut here. That's the best part. It's not industry specific. This data truly can help any industry. Ryan, do you have anything to add on that?
I would just add, in general, if you want to know, the Select team does, we work across many different verticals. I would say legal is a huge one that we'd love to get in front of. We believe we have a very solid legal formula, if you will, to help lawyers find confirmed auto cases. That's a major one. I know I mentioned credit unions earlier. We do work with some phenomenal credit unions across the country. I know that Adam had previously discussed like these slides talking about Q3 and Q4 and what you should be doing. And it immediately made me think of some of our credit union clients because they're putting a major emphasis into that time of the year. And then lastly, and this is probably biased, but my personal favorite is always going to be home services. And this is because not only is it a massively growing space across the country we're seeing, but these clients understand that if they could find the right team that integrates into their systems properly, you could have a formula created to understand if you're a roofer, for example, if I put X amount of dollars into this, I could start to expect Y. And we work very closely to understand what that formula looks like to help achieve those results. And I know we're going to get into the reporting dashboard here shortly, but there's a lot of customizations within that dashboard that help clients understand exactly what we're doing. And also we understand their goals to help just run a solid ship forward.
Yeah,
What other
yeah.
questions do we have here?
We have
Oh,
a
go ahead,
couple
Adam.
more here. No, so how do you help our sales team take the necessary steps for these large scale campaigns? So it starts with bringing us in the loop. If you're a current AdCellerant partner, I'm sure you know about Select. There's certainly some qualifying or qualifiers that we need to work through as far as opportunities, budgets, that sort of thing. But as long as we're checking those boxes, which a number of campaigns do, if you bring this opportunity to our team can get to work. They'll take you through what that process is. Ultimately, can help you even prepare and pitch your end advertiser alongside of you, and it all just starts with that conversation. We see that happen in a lot of different ways. It can be all the way towards the end. That's like, hey, I have this huge client. They're already a client of ours, and they want to run X amount of budget through the end of the year. What do we do with this money to make it as powerful as possible? Or all the way on the other side of the spectrum, hey, we have this, huge prospect that we're getting in front of. What do we do? And our team can get involved very early on, but please bring us in the loop. The earlier you bring us in, the easier it is for us to help arm you with what you need for that opportunity. Great question. And then the next question here, who actually presents this type of info to a prospect, you or your client? That is up to you. We would prefer that you allow us to join those calls and help present it because we're so comfortable in doing so. But that's really up to you. But we want to really get you the support that you need to help speak to this information to your end client. So I'd say 9 out of 10 times it's usually the Select team that is presenting this information.
Yep, just to piggyback off you there, Adam. Sam, great question. We typically, to be honest with you, it's 90% of the time I'm leading those calls. There are times where I'm just brought on as a digital strategist and then someone else leads. But for the most part, what we really want to make sure is get across the fact that we do not leave your team stranded in any way. We build presentations that actually look very similar to the one that you're viewing now. So we build that on the back end. And then in terms of presenting, it is typically one of the Select members, which is my position. So as Adam mentioned, if there are any opportunities that meet these Select thresholds, certainly get us involved earlier. We have a phenomenal CNA process that then helps put those metrics into a presentation like this one. We do hear quite a bit that these presentations are very powerful and something unlike they've seen before. Yesterday, for example, I was talking to a company that does HVAC, roofing, windows and doors, the whole home services gambit, and they're having these discussions with about 8 other teams, and they said that this by far what you're seeing here, the competitive analysis, the target audience analysis, the fact that we have a client success management team, the custom dashboards, all these things, they don't actually hear a ton from a lot of competitors. So for us, it's about getting in front of the right clients, showcasing our skill set, and then from there, we typically do win at a very high rate.
Awesome. Well, I think perfect segue into Adrian and reporting, because we can have all the best data in the world, but if we don't run a great campaign and we don't report on it, it's like it never happened. So this is really where the rubber meets the road. And Adrian, I'll let you kind of take over what it means on the reporting side.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth, Adam. I couldn't agree with you more. Ryan, go ahead and flip to the next slide if you don't mind. Here is just a visualization of our UI.marketing dashboard. One of the primary benefits of our UI marketing dashboard is transparency. We want our partners and advertisers to have full insight into how their campaigns are running, where they're running, and everything in between. Do you want to know what specific site or app your ad was delivered and converted upon? It's there. Do you want to see which creative size is capturing the most click? Also there. There are heat maps, device types, behavioral segments, and so much more data that's readily available. So much data could really be overwhelming to analyze and review for a multi-channel strategy. Nonetheless, transparency is really unique in our space, and it's something we don't want to shy away from. Next slide, Ryan.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add here on this specific dashboard is on the sales side, we do typically do a full demo to our clients to show them exactly what they can expect when they receive this reporting link. And it is probably the best sales tool that we have available. We're very proud of the reporting dashboard our software engineers have been able to make. And typically clients' eyes do light up when we get this in front of them.
But one of the benefits to running with AdCellerant Select is the custom dashboard. We work with you all to determine the metrics and breakdowns that matter most. And then we create a real-time dashboard that provides a visualization that's really unique to each advertiser. This report, really serves as our tool for communicating performance and insights with our advertisers through reoccurring reporting meetings, where our client services team takes the lead on analysis, insights, and then the recommendations that our data-driven strategies produce. We want our partners to have a clear understanding of how things are going, how we can make them better, how we can collaborate to ensure that we're working in tandem to produce results that have the greatest impact on the business's bottom line.
Yep, and I want to add here, as you can see, these are snapshot examples of what clients can expect in the custom space. But just to give you more examples, we have windows and doors companies that we have their actual lead goal by week. We have their revenue goal by month, and all of that's on the dashboard. So everyone, when we jump on those reporting calls, everyone understands what the North Star metrics are. We have these dashboards built out for major legal firms where we are on their daily intake numbers, meaning how many car accidents they've, qualifiers they've seen that day versus workers' comp, for example. And we could bake that into these dashboards as well. So for clients not to have to always necessarily like cross-reference with their CRM to the dashboard is another very appealing piece of these custom dashboards.
Yeah, and it's a great point there. And Adrian, I'm going to just put you on the spot real quick. But this is a ton of data, and these custom dashboards are meant to augment UI.marketing, and that doesn't go away. We still utilize that. But knowing your background, Adrian, used to be intimately familiar with actually running these campaigns and hands-on keyboard. How is it that our team utilizes some of this data to make optimizations and make sure the campaigns continue to get better over time?
Yeah, it's really a collaboration with our partners to determine what those key KPIs are, what the breakdowns that are most important, so we can maximize our performance and delivery to what best suits the business's needs. As mentioned, UI.marketing, it has so much information, it could be overwhelming. But with the custom dashboards, it really enables us to focus on those key insights that move the needle and just really continue improving that performance over time.
That's great.
Well, the last thing I
Right.
want to say here too is, one of the highest requested items always in these custom dashboards is, can we get down to a CPL or a CPA? Going back to the home services space, for example, a lot of our clients, believe it or not, don't even have one established yet in regards to a cost per acquisition or cost per lead. So we then come in and bring that digital consultation of, hey, well, this is what we're seeing in other markets in regards to a cost per lead. Yours seems to be double based off of the reporting metrics that the other team just sent over, whatever the case may be, but we could bake those into this as well. So the client always has a good understanding of what their cost per lead is. And then what I love that our team does is over time, we will show the client, hey, you're getting more leads and your cost per lead's going down. That's included in several of the case studies we have. If you're interested in those, we could send a lot of select case studies over to you guys for multiple verticals.
Cool. Well, all right. Well, we got a couple questions here as we wrap up and head into Q&A. So if you have any questions, please let us know. If you're more comfortable sending them after the fact, just send us direct emails. It's just adam.lee@adcellerant.com. Feel free to route those through me. We always get questions after the fact. And please follow us on LinkedIn. We drop new blogs, new white papers, all sorts of great information on a daily basis. So highly recommend you guys following us on LinkedIn if you don't already. So we do have a lot of questions coming in here. And we'll try to get to most of these here over the next couple minutes. So do you make the Claritas Prism data information available with new high-level prospects? So the answer is it depends. It really does depend on where they're at in the sales process. We're not going to pull all that data and information and then just hand it over to a prospect if there's not a meeting, if there's not something that we can leverage that information for. But it is something that we will use to aid in closing a deal and then ultimately planning once a deal is closed to get the right media mix out. So I know it's not the best straightforward answer, but the answer is it depends. What is your retention like on these campaigns? Is there a minimum spend? These are some of the most high retention campaigns that we have at AdCellerant. As everybody knows, we are a volume-based business, run thousands of campaigns, and it's just natural to have some churn within that. The Select team has an incredibly low amount of advertisers that churn, and it's because of this data that is the case, because we can truly create the best plans possible and prove out that performance. And then minimum spend, that is a $25,000 a month retail spend for Select.
And and
Yep, go.
to piggyback off that a little bit, Adam, we do typically, if you're looking for a specific number, we do tally about a 92% retention rate as of this year for campaigns this year specifically.
Awesome. Yep, that is excellent. Can we get a copy of this recording to share with my team? Yes, absolutely. We send out the recording to all attendees and then those who didn't show up as well. So you will get this recording after the fact. What's your win rate against agencies who are also pitching large scale clients? That's a really good question. I would say I don't have an exact number for that. I will say that our win rate on the Select team is higher than any other place within our organization. And so we know that if we follow this process and we put this data in front of a client using this data-driven approach to outsmart, our competition, the win rate is exceptionally high. Which is why one interesting thing that we see is when our partners start to utilize Select, they keep coming back again and again and again because they start to see the power in it and what it can do to both the top line and bottom line of their business. And then last question, Ryan, I'll tee you up for this one. I'm reading this in real time. I assume the client needs to track somehow and share their revenue connected to our conversions created. Yeah, that is, as Ryan was mentioning, we're able to tap into some of our clients' data sources, depending on what those are, and track their revenue against our campaigns. And then Ryan,
And
last question to you is, what kind of collateral or training can you provide to help us prospect and set these appointments with larger businesses?
yes, great question. So the vast majority of my job is client facing, doing these large pitches. Probably the other 20% is me getting in front of your teams to review very detailed case studies of not only where the prospect came from, but how we closed it. So traditionally, a big part of my role is to get in front of your teams and basically get them to be able to speak to these clients. It goes back to what select specific CNA questions we ask. It goes back to understanding these case studies so that when your teams are reviewing them, they're able to speak to them, whether it's via email or on a client-facing call. But a lot of it has to do with just the fact of showing these wins that typically gets these reps excited to go after these bigger, larger opportunities that they maybe previously didn't think that they could even handle before. So there's a lot of different ways we go about it, but in my opinion, the case studies are the biggest pieces.
Awesome. And with that, we will wrap up a little bit early. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you to all of our attendees today. Last message here is just engage AdCellerant Select. You got a big client, got a big opportunity. Let us help use data to outsmart your competition and your end advertisers' competition. This will be sent out via email. Thank you all for spending time with us. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Let's go forth and conquer, everybody. Thanks again for joining.